Look, I think they were misinformed. I think Shane's obviously very passionate about this weekend's game, and he's looking to get the best team on the field to win. But the facts are that James Patterson is available for selection for the Big Bash, as per the National Selection Panel's policies. But he's not available under the competition rules. The details of that are that before the season started, James had an injury in the Adelaide Test. The Australian medical officer's advice was it was a minimum 6 to 8 week injury. And as it turns out, the Stars at that time decided to replace James with Daniel Worrell in the squad. At that time, James then became ineligible for the rest of the competition, and that rule remains the same. The Stars have actually asked us twice to reconsider the rule, but we've determined that it's not appropriate to change the rules in mid-competition, and henceforth James is not available. It's not about selection, policy, decision making.
That was only one small piece of it. I mean, he was very outspoken at the. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think Shane, as I say, Shane's very passionate. They've got a big game this weekend, and he's the best possible team on the field. In this program, they've got the next 27 days. They're playing a game every 2.5 days, effectively, to throw another match. On top of those guys, would obviously put a lot of. You also look at the fact that they're playing in Perth. Getting those guys back across to Brisbane is just impossible. So, we've made decisions around what's best for the players in the Australian team, knowing full well at the start of the Big Bash League competition. In fact, when the teams have selected, what the scenario was with the program.
Can you understand the Shane's position and also I suppose the disillusioned Australian public that it just seems to be a real involvement in the Australian?
Yeah, well, it's impossible for me to comment on the Australian team selection. I'm really here to talk about the impact on the Big Bash League and those the decisions made in that respect. And it's the competition rules have been really clear. The availability of the players has been really clear since the teams have selected. They knew the Australian program and they made their decisions based on that, and that's where we're at now.
With the James.
Are you disappointed in Shane's comments, considering he's made that agencies it's a joke, it's mind-boggling, it's ridiculous? Do you think he just needs to get up to speed with the rules?
Well, I think it would be better if Shane had been informed by the team as to what the decisions were and when they'd been made. He would have been a lot more informed. I don't think that Shane's been malicious in that. He's a passionate guy. So I think it's really more of a misunderstanding than anything else.
Will you keep the same rule for next season?
Yeah, I think the second year of a competition is brand new. We'll take the opportunity to look at all the rules, and this is probably one that will get a fair bit of attention because of the sort of the impact on that. We do also want the best players on the field, and we'd like to have had James playing in these last few rounds. But we don't want to change the rules mid-season. It's not fair on all the teams.
Can you clarify then why the Renegades were able to call on Alex Hayes when Samuels was facing the threat of suspension and still is?
Yeah, probably two things. One is obviously from the point of view of natural justice, he hasn't been able to front the tribunal, so we don't know what his penalty would have been. And the other thing is that there is two overseas players allowed in the squad and haven't been suspended in Samuels. So to be fair to that, I don't think the comments specifically are damaging. There's not too many people in Australia who don't know Shane and don't know his level of passion. So it's probably natural to see him getting that wound up about an issue like this. I don't take offence to that sort of language. I don't think it's really damaging.
So is the bottom line on the Pattinson issue that it's the Stars' fault?
Oh, it's not. The Stars had made a decision. They made a decision at the time Pattinson was injured before the competition started, and they knew the rules and have tried to get the rules changed, and that's fair enough too. But it's not fair to change the rules. So I wouldn't. It's just circumstances.
Is it fair to say that if you did change the rules that you'd be benefiting one team at the expense of others?
Well, I think that's a way of looking at it. I think if you change the rules to allow James or any other player who'd been injured to come back in, the people you'd disadvantage are those players who actually were kept on lists as injured players. There were probably about 6 players who had 4 weeks or more out injured, 2 of them up to 7 weeks. A really good example is Josh Hazelwood, who the Sixers kept on their list for 7 weeks. He came back and was able to play at the end of the competition. They would have been disadvantaged had we changed the rules at this stage.
Will Shane face any sanctions given the nature of his comments?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, as I say, there's no offence taken at Cricket Australia. Before this game this weekend, the final in Perth, that sort of passion is great for the game. It shows that the players, their teams, and it shows their fans they're desperate to win. And I think that's what you expect from Shane.
The Stars will be without 4 guys through international duty for for the business end of the season. What can you do next season to avoid these clashes?
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, I think as has probably been explained a number of times, the scheduling of the Australian cricket is a really complicated process. There are a lot of factors we have to take into account, and none the least being the availability of overseas teams to come here. We don't control that, and we've got a program around it. So inevitably there are going to be conflicts between the BBL program and the international program, and ultimately teams make their call on which players they select based on that.
Take your Cricket Australia hat off for just Pattinson playing in the BBL this evening?
Let's see. We all like to see the very best players playing, and there's no doubt we can field them, but that's a process for after the season, not during the season.
Like James being frustrated because he's sort of been out for the whole summer, and then all of a sudden there's a chance for his team might play in a Big Bash final. He's feeling pretty annoyed.
Yeah, I can see him being frustrated. I mean, all those players want to play the very best standard cricket they can, and playing in a Big Bash League semi-final, grand final is a fantastic objective for a player. So I understand the frustration, and I understand that he's been frustrated regularly with the injuries he's had, and no player wants to be injured looking on the sidelines.
How have you seen ratings and attendances this season compared to last?
Yeah, I think second half of the season has been really good. The attendances and the ratings have been pretty much up where we finished last year. We had many more games, twice as many games before Christmas, and I think if we've learnt anything from the season going into the next period, it's we've got to avoid that challenge, and we try and play as much as we can after Christmas when people are available.
So, avoid games before Christmas?
As much as we can.
So get more into January?
Yeah.
So would you consider double headers next season?
Yeah, we've played a number of double headers this year, and I think we'll look at how many we can play. We've got to be fair on the players and the broadcasters, as well as the public, in terms of their ability to manage all of that cricket in a short period of time. But yeah, we'll look at that.
Are you keen to have more games or more teams?
No, not at this stage. I think we'll digest what we've got, make sure we get it right, and when we demonstrate that we've got the demand for more games, then we'll consider that.
Would you like to avoid the clashes with the Australian Open, especially the Tomic match last night up against a Melbourne clash, or is it inevitable?
It's pretty much inevitable, and actually we like that challenge. Going up against a tennis, they have a great event. We've got great events, and we like taking them on. It's the nature of sport, and we won't step away from that. We rated really well last night, 270,000 on subscription TV, so that was a really good number. We'll have another challenge this Saturday with the grand final potentially.
So just to clarify, have ratings and attendance actually increased on last season?
No, they haven't. So net, they've got an average decline, but it's pretty marginal. I think at the moment, Big Bash games represent the top 27 programs on subscription TV since December. So they're pretty good ratings. I think something like 2 to 3 times the ratings of the very best A-League games. So in that context, we're pretty happy with the ratings.
So even though